So in today's video, I'm talking about when love turns toxic, estrangement caused by narcissistic in-laws. And I'm going to be interviewing Tracy Malone, who is a narcissistic expert. So in this video, you're going to learn what is estrangement, what are some early red flags you need to pay attention to, and what does the healing process look like? Let's get started. Welcome, Tracy. I am so excited. You are my very first interview. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Thank you. I'm so excited to be your first guest speakers. I am Tracy Malone. I am the founder of Narcissist Abuse Support. I am a global coach, an author, and I help people.
Best-selling author.
That too. I help people with everything narc. So from healing to parents to divorce, and now my latest passion is estranged parents.
This is such an important topic. And, I was reading your book and it was kind of alarming to realize that this pattern is growing. So tell us, what inspired you to write a book about estrangement?
Well, I've been in this narc world for so long, and I've been helping clients with estranged daughter their
Mhm,
children are estranged because of a daughter or son-in-law. And I have read all of the estrangement books, and nobody
mhm,
explains the connection of a narcissist. It's
mm.
like I read these things, and I've even been on videos and chats with some of the authors as they told other parents that not everyone's a narcissist. And I'm not going to even answer that question. Like, how you
Yeah.
just validated half of the people. You don't know in a single question if they are a narcissist. We're not calling everyone. We're just going, if this is what's
Mhm,
happening and it looks like this advice may help you too. And I was so angry
mhm.
that this is being shunned because it represents, do
Yeah.
you know that it's 25% of the population is estranged from their adult children right now?
Oh my
An
gosh.
epidemic is 15%.
Oh.
That's huge. Don't tell me that I mean, is it
Mm.
only me
Uh-huh.
that sees the narcissistic
Right.
flaws? They're out
Right.
there, and they're more embrazened and empowered, and they're using therapy speak. They're calling the
Uh-huh.
healthy parents, you're a narcissist. You're gaslighting. They'll use all the terms that you and I have been talking to adult children of narcissists, then say your parents are doing this, and they just use our language to blame it on healthy, loving parents.
Yeah, this is such toxic behavior. So, can you explain a little bit about narcissism and how it relates to estrangement?
Sure. So I think if we look at all the core factors that happen in any
Mhm,
narcissistic relationship, the love bombing, right? The cycle of abuse, right? The love bombing is not just to your child, but in the beginning, these in-laws love the family. Can't wait.
mm,
It's so exciting. They are showing their best self. Soon as
mhm,
that ring gets on the finger or they get engaged, sometimes it can just be as simple as that. Boom, they change into devil spawns. They argue, they fight, they are just like, again, they're using all the tactics that we know of, meaning gaslighting your child, gaslighting your family,
mhm,
triangulation and control, weaponizing loyalty, right? And they also, like, that smear campaign, it starts off so slow, and they come home from your house and they've been happy with your family and gone on all these vacations,
mm,
and they come home from your house and go, your dad was so controlling. Has he always been that way? Or did you see how your
uh-huh,
parents were so much nicer to your sister? I guess you're
mm,
not good enough in the family. Has it always been that way? And
uh-huh,
just because they bought us a house doesn't mean they get to control us. If we want to buy a Range Rover, we can. They are controlling us, right? So those are the kind of things that start
mhm,
to be planted in the kid. And they never
mhm,
saw things like that. Someone buying
mm,
a house is not control, it's generosity. But when
right.
twisted into this, they turn your kid against you. Everything
Mm,
that was your entire lifetime has been rewritten, and you were the abuser. And again, it affects everyone from siblings to grandparents of your adult child to cousin
yeah.
weddings. It's like a toxic war zone in this epidemic.
Mm. And one of the things that was so concerning in your book is how you talked about, yes, the love bombing, but they wait until you're married or you're living together, and then they start to shift. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, that's the pick. That's the
Mm,
devalue stage, right? Your mother didn't do that. She didn't smile. Did you see how she looked at me? I don't feel safe in their house,
yeah.
right? That's the devalue stage, right? The discard stage is pretty clear. You're not seeing your parents anymore. And
Mm,
sometimes there's conditions and sometimes there's not, but it's often to the best families, the closest
mm,
families, because a narcissist, as you know,
yeah.
has to control the narrative and also has to eliminate anyone who might tell the truth about what's going on.
And they look so charming in the beginning.
Gosh, as every
Mm,
narcissist does. I mean,
mhm,
people
mhm,
really get sucked in to it being the perfect partner. And then
mm.
this devil person, male or female, comes out and they are wicked. And it's their sole purpose. If there's grandkids, let's just take them away. That'll make them pay.
Mm,
It's so painful because it affects the kids at that point too.
right. I'm just curious, are there any studies in terms of gender, like with the adult child, how many are female versus male?
I find a lot more of my clients and in my groups that
Hmm.
it's the son who is male,
Mm,
female. I do have the other
uh-huh.
way around, but
Yeah,
overwhelmingly the female narcissist
yeah.
taking control, and I see it as leaning that direction. But women
Mm,
in the actual studies, and I have a book on my shelf over here about the actual studies that they say women are, and it makes sense because we know that there's a lot more male victims. If we look at marriage and
yeah,
divorce and all that, we know that there's a
yeah.
lot more male narcissists. So that would make sense on paper. In reality, what I see in my world and thousands of parents, a lot more
Mm.
sons are having this.
And that also makes sense because I think the male tends to have to adapt more to the women's family.
Mhm.
I could see that being a major red flag. So, can you speak to other warning signs that people should be aware of?
If there's just inconsistency in the family, if again they were
Mm,
nice and sweet, and now they come to your house, they just sit on their phone and they don't even talk at Christmas, and they're rude, and there's so many signs of it starting to deteriorate.
hmm.
Parents go, oh, it's just them. She has a special request for Thanksgiving. We have to make her a special thing, whatever it is. We'll
Mm,
go along with it. It doesn't look like
hmm.
it looks like tiny little shifts. And that's
Hmm.
why, yeah. And you're not ever prepared for the cutting off of your contact, right? Because it was just little things. But
Mm,
cumulatively they add up, and they come in every flavor, as you know. So there could just be
yeah.
total silence. Some parents have a little bit of contact, but they just say, this isn't my child. It doesn't even sound like
Mm,
them. And they know that the narcissist is reading the texts, monitoring calls. Most of the parents who are estranged, if and only in the beginning, are allowed to talk to their kid in the car when the kid's on the way home from work. Nothing in the
oh,
house, no communication,
wow.
seeing the grandkids. So there's so many little things, but those are the logical things people can see. A change in behavior, they
Hmm.
come and they're pouting, they're doing all this stuff. The actual words are they're gaslighting you, they're smearing you, they're doing all these things behind the scenes by narcissist dictionary. But it's
Mm,
just that subtle, like that's
uh-huh.
weird. Why would they say that? Or why would they get upset if we chose our restaurant and we're paying? Why would they get mad at me because they wanted to go somewhere else? It gets to
Right.
be that petty. I had
Mm,
a client once that they took their daughter-in-law on vacation, and I mean it's just a crazy, crazy kind of
mm,
experience, but it's demanding. They didn't get the best room when the
hmm.
parents paid. And
Mm,
how could you not? I didn't sit by a window. How dare you take me on a
mhm.
2-week vacation
Uh-huh.
and not put me in the best seat? I deserve it. Those are fights you can't win. Like, how would I
Right.
know that this person would be a crazy person? We're paying for 10 people to go on vacation. Why should she get a window? You know?
Oh
So,
boy.
yeah,
So how does a narcissist's in-law turn a child against them?
the triangulation, the
Hmm.
gaslighting, and telling the kids over and over, just like those things I said,
Hmm.
did you see how your mother
Yeah.
looked at me? And then your kid's like, I didn't say anything wrong. And then they build
Yeah.
with gaslighting, it's not once, it's 8,000 times until you acquiesce and go,
Yeah.
okay, I see it, whatever. And then they also get mad at the adult children and make them
Mm-hmm.
fight for them. So
Mm.
get in there and you tell them they did this wrong. And just the
Yeah.
triangulation. If there's kids, the kids get triangulated, siblings.
Yeah.
It's a cluster of every single narcissistic tactic that we see in every other game.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's happening to adult children and
Mm.
from really, really loving, strong families,
Mm-hmm.
right? They can't have someone whispering in their ear. So,
Well, the other thing that really stood out in your book was when you talked about how they will take the parents' innocent behavior and warp it into control or abuse and I
Mhm.
just thought, "Oh my God, how heartbreaking is that?"
Exactly. I've had parents do total renovations in the house in their kid's house and do all this
Uh-huh.
work for them. And, they allow them to come in and do it all. But then towards the end, they make a
Mm.
scene. We didn't want this. You controlled us. We wanted this kind of hand.
Ugh,
And again, how could you win at those things, right?
right.
Everything becomes a war. You can look at them wrong. I've had parents estranged because they gave the grandchildren a strawberry at
Uh-huh.
lunch that was in the
Mm.
refrigerator. How would they know?
Ugh. So how do you help the parents handle this unimaginable pain?
Well, I think one of the important things is getting them their ship righted. Like their
Mhm. Yeah.
emotional, they are in just calamity. They are just
Mm.
ruminating all night. They are living in guilt. They are living in shame. They are,
Mm.
tongue-tied as to what to do. And it divides couples. It divides the parents very,
Really?
yeah, because sometimes one parent, and
Mm.
I'd say in many cases, it's the dad is allowed because the mother was closer. The mother raised them. She's the one
Mm.
that's got to go.
Uh-huh.
The dad's allowed to come and golf and see the grandchildren. So the mom
Really?
that's at home is going, well, I want you to go because at least I'll know they're alive and you can bring me
Uh-huh.
pictures. And then the kid is going, don't show
Mm.
mom any pictures when you get home. And if you do, you'll never come back. So it puts them in a place of fighting and like really destroying the families. It does the same thing with
Mm.
siblings. I have a quote in my book from a sibling that was in one of my groups,
Mhm.
an adult, and he was like, I feel like I lost my best friend. I didn't
Yeah.
do anything. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
So it's not just the parents, it becomes the siblings, it becomes the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles. And I've even had people at weddings where the entire family, not siblings or parents, but the
Mhm.
entire extended family is invited to the wedding, but not the parents or the siblings. How awkward is it for the other family members to be sitting
Yeah.
there at their sister's kid's wedding?
Yeah.
It just corrupts everything. And so
Mm.
it's a horrible experience for these parents. My heart, it bleeds
Oh,
for them
yeah.
every day.
I can't even imagine. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
So, in the beginning stages of this,
Mhm.
what would you recommend? Like, if the parent is somewhat emotionally savvy, right, and they know that, hey, something is amiss here,
Mhm.
how would you recommend them talking to their adult child about it?
Well, it's eggshells, right? You can't
Mhm.
usually tell them the truth, right? And if a parent is really emotional, you do not want to get into a tit for tat fight with them
Mhm.
because they
Yeah.
will manipulate you down on the ground, right? And so for me, when I'm helping parents sort of regulate their emotions,
Mhm.
um, I actually do a thing and it's like you go to the doctor, the 1 to 10, what number is your pain, right?
Yeah.
That's what I also encourage these people because they can control by going, is it a 10? Okay, it can be a 10, but maybe it's a 7.
Yeah.
Could I recover from a 7? And if I'm at a 7, is it
Mhm.
safe to reach out to them if I get rejected or attacked? I'd rather you reach out when you're feeling like a 4, so you can go
Yeah.
up to a 7.
Yeah.
So learning and then also just taking it from there. If you're like say a 7 or whatever, it's always parents are 8 to 10 when I
Yeah.
ask them this.
Yeah.
But when they are in that state, what part are you feeling in that state? Are you feeling fear? Are you feeling anger? Are you
Mhm.
feeling shame? Because when they can start to identify,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, you know what? You're right. It's fear. Oh, you're right. It's here. Maybe I am a 7. Maybe I'm lower than I think because they're actually
Yeah.
considering, right? The loss is doing the talking of being in a 10, the pain of that. So it's all right, let's reel you back in. Let's
Hmm.
understand what's doing it. And often,
Hmm.
did anything change from yesterday? You were a
Mm.
4 and now you're an
Yeah.
11. No, nothing changed. Okay, well, let's look at it. Were you looking at pictures of them? Is it their
Hmm.
birthday? What
Yeah.
triggered that so that they can be more aware and right the ship and try to do the self-care things to get
Yeah.
themselves to a lower level on there. And that logic really does help parents understand
Yeah.
that
Oh,
they
for
can't
sure.
let themselves ruminate all night. Like if you're ruminating all night, pick up a
Hmm.
piece of paper, write it down,
Right.
get it out of your head, and go back to bed, right? Just taking care of themselves is essential because this is like losing a child and nobody cares.
Hmm.
Like
Right.
when you lose a child, they bring you casseroles,
Mm.
they have empathy for you.
Yeah. Right.
And in this situation, your friends kind of stay away because they don't know what to say.
That emotional regulation piece, I agree, that's so important. If they can regulate before having a conversation in the early stages, right?
Mhm.
What would you recommend the parents say to their adult child who to express concern about this?
Again, if you express concern naming the in-law, you're doomed, right? So
Okay, so there is no,
there's
okay.
not, again,
Wow.
every time you
Mm,
say, even like, sweetie,
hmm.
didn't like spit in
Yeah,
her face like she just said,
yeah.
it's going to be an argument. Yes, you did, and now you're denying it. So
Okay.
every case is different. That's why I gave suggestions in my book, but I didn't want to go
Yeah,
do this
yeah.
because if you've already tried something 5 times and they told you don't ever contact them again, and you're trying some of these tactics, you're going to make it worse, right?
Hmm.
But if they do have those conversations, it's planning it out. How will you say it? And you also have to be really alert to how they show up if you're going to meet them, whether you're meeting
Right,
at a coffee shop, at a
right.
therapist, or in their house. If they show up angry, how do you diffuse the anger? They
Hmm.
show up
Hmm.
like, and they're, ugh, you've got to know you're not going to get the truth out right now because
Mm.
they're in attack mode, right? So it's
Okay.
learning and planning and going, this is what I really want them to say, and then swallowing that because there's 90% chance you'll never be able to say the truth.
Mm.
And that's the hardest part for parents.
Mhm. Mhm. So what does the healing process look like?
Well, hopefully we try to get the kids back. We do a lot
Right.
of things, right? And I've had a lot of reconciliations.
Mm.
Unfortunately, the ones that have a reconciliation, it's not everyone, but for the most part,
Mhm.
it requires you sucking up to the narcissist,
Mm. Uh-huh.
listening to their rules and boundaries, no matter if you ever cross them or not. It's
Yeah.
placating to them to see your grandchildren,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
even then, you're
Yeah.
walking on ice because you could look at them wrong and you're in trouble again. I think parents are in such a tight spot. And there's no one solution, but
Right.
there is self-care. There is, just this need for parents to
Mhm.
not let go. I don't want to say it that way, but in the grieving cycle, you've got denial,
Mhm.
anger, bargaining, depression.
Yeah.
Sometimes in your day, you have to live in acceptance, not
Right.
acceptance that your kid's not coming back,
Right. Right.
but in acceptance that this is the situation. And if I just sit here and cry, nothing's changing except I cried all day, right? And getting yourself, and that's
Right.
where I help them is to get them to a place where they are in a less reactive place and they
Mhm.
can enjoy two
Mhm.
hours a day, 4 hours a day. Let's move it to a
Yeah.
day. Like let's get this out of your head because nothing changed from yesterday to today.
Right. Well, and having those realistic expectations of maybe you can have a sliver of connection with them,
Mhm.
but it's going to take a lot of work to be able to accept that and not
And
let that grief overtake you.
and I think too, I encourage parents to, you know, um, a heart on your text. They got
Mm.
it. They responded. That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a baby
Yes.
step, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of people would love a heart on a text,
Right.
right? They
Right.
called you on their way
Right.
home from work, on work, but they can't
Mm.
see you. That's still a win that
Right.
80% of the parents would take. So look at those things as
Mm.
miracles. A little change and shift in behavior is still that's hopeful instead
Right.
of they just gave a heart and they didn't answer it. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
crushes them. So looking at the steps of, Oh, I didn't cry all day today.
Right.
That's still a plus and a win. You look at not only what's happening
Yes.
with them, but also for me, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I actually slept 8 hours without ruminating. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
accepting their loss. I'm accepting
Mm-hmm.
my powerlessness here.
Yeah.
Have to live my life because they're all senior citizens with a 30-year-old child, right? Um,
Right.
they're
Right.
all older. And so they're like, I can't be living like this. Many don't eat, they lose weight, they don't sleep. It is the most painful thing. But if they don't learn to right the ship, and
Mm-hmm.
therapists, as you well know, are not always educated in narcissism.
Right.
And
Right.
so they don't see it from that lens. And that's the danger because you're getting sometimes bad advice if it
Uh-huh.
was just a normal thing, right? Oh, just go over
Mm.
to their house and have a talk with them. No,
Yeah.
I've
That's
had
not going to work.
the police have been called and
Yeah.
they've been arrested.
Yeah.
You have to know that there's a difference here. And for you
Mm-hmm.
and I who have had this experience of working with narcissistic,
Mm-hmm.
victims, we know what could happen. A, B, C, D,
Right.
and we can guide them versus sometimes getting the wrong advice or just listening to
Mm.
friends who are like, "Oh, she's your daughter, just go over." That could end up
Right.
being the kiss of death and the end of your
Mm.
relationship. So it
Right.
is knowing how to navigate these waters, which is why I wrote the book.
Yeah, and I got mine. I'm so
Yay!
excited. Very interesting read. And I am just so grateful that you're able to help people who are struggling with this because for me, it would just destroy my heart. It would just destroy my heart. So tell us, how could people get in touch with you? What are you offering? Because I know I've recommended your support groups to people in the past and they've absolutely found it a lifesaver.
Hey, thank you. I have support groups now. I was doing women's group for 10 years, and now I've kind of morphed into the estrangement parent groups.
Oh, that's so great that you have one
It is
on
so
this.
beneficial
Mm,
because like even like as they do their first introductions and there's nine of them on the screen,
yeah.
they're small groups, but husband and wife can be there together.
Mm,
And like they were all doing their
that's so good.
introductions on one of the last groups, and the last lady, was just like, I don't know about you guys, but just listening to you, this
Mm,
money was worth it now because
yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
alone. I've been alone. No one understands. I thought I was like something wrong with
Mm,
me.
yeah.
I hear it, I see it, and we've all tried this, and just to have them like, you're going to go to therapy with your kid. Oh, there's someone else who's
Hmm.
done it, and this is what happened,
Mm,
and that makes them go,
yeah.
oh, that same thing happened to me. It's validating, and it helps them lift some of the guilt and shame off of their self because they've
Mm,
been blaming themselves. If I didn't say
right.
that, if I gave her the window seat, if I,
Right.
you know e- it's not normal the things that they are attacking their people for, but I think if
Mm,
people can start to get a hold of it with a group. Again, I do one-on-one coaching, or
yeah.
yeah, I do the
Oh,
whole family.
yes.
I'll have
That's
siblings, I'll
right.
have
Oh, so
grandma on the
great.
call. It's
Mm,
just, what do we do in our specific situation? Because every
yeah.
one of them is different. And so somebody on Instagram asked me today, "Oh, I love your book, but can I ask you this situation?" I'm like, in two
Yeah.
sentences, I don't know what
Right.
you've tried, what you've
Right.
been told not to do. There's things that have to be known in order to give you advice. So make sure that you're getting
Yeah.
one.
Well,
So
and that's why your group is so important. So I highly recommend this book, Estranged by Lies: How Narcissistic Partners Use Power and Control to Destroy Your Family. This is so needed right now because we really need in this day and age to have our relationships work. And I'm just so grateful to you for the work you're doing.
thank you so much. I'm so happy to have been here.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here. This has been awesome. I just absolutely love this conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome.